Dear friends, welcome to today's session. So, in today's session, we will talk about virtual machine security recommendations and best practices. So, here, basically, we will be talking about different types of suggestions and different types of recommendations which helps to maintain the security of the systems. So, security of the virtual machines, rather. So, talking about security best practices, these are actually some of the standard process or procedures which are involved in maintaining the security of a particular system. So, when we are talking about virtual machine security best practices, so let us first focus on the best practices. Well, this best practices also comes in recommendations for new systems to develop. So first of all is the general general virtual machine protection. So talking about general virtual machine protection, we have to understand that a virtual machine is in most respects equivalent to a physical server, and we have to employ the same security measures in virtual machines which we do it for the physical systems. So we have to understand whatever we are taking care of in the physical systems, similar importance we also have to give to our general virtual machine. The second important point that we need to remember is to make use of templates to deploy virtual machine. So templates, we already know, those are the predefined frameworks which have already been implemented for successful execution of a particular task or an assignment. So when we manually install guest operating systems and applications on the virtual machine, we introduce a risk of misconfiguration. So if we are using these templates, we can easily avoid the misconfigurations which might be arising due to the physical or the manual installation of the guest operating system. We can capture a hardened base operating system image with no application installed, and we can ensure that all virtual machines are created with a known baseline level of security. So this template will already be having all the secure features which has already been implemented for some other similar work. The third important point that we have to remember is we have to minimize the use of the VM console. So minimize the use of VM console. So this console is as good as a monitor. So the virtual machine console provides the same function for a virtual machine that a monitor provides on a physical server. So it is just like a display having all the essential information displayed. Okay, so users with access to virtual machine console have access to the virtual machine power management and removal device connectivity controls. So these console access might therefore allow malicious attack on the virtual machine, because using this monitor or using this console, we can easily get the list of information which is available on the virtual machine, and this can easily be compromised. Talking about the next important point, we have to prevent the virtual machines from taking over resources. So prevent from taking over resources or additional resources. We are calling it as over resources because these are additional. Even if they are not there, it is fine. So when one virtual machine consumes too much of host resources, then other virtual machines on the host cannot perform their intended functions. So a most prominent type of attack is the denial of service attack here. So if someone is using up more resources, there will be no more resources available for other. So automatically a denial of service situation arises, and to prevent a virtual machine from causing a DOS or denial of service attack, we use the host resource management features such as setting shares and using resource pools. So it has to be predetermined, predefined, so that we actually understand that there is enough resource available for all the machines, and so and there is no such blockage involved in accessing the resources. Okay, so this we have to keep in mind. The next important point is we have to disable unnecessary functions inside virtual machines. In the last session also we talked about disabling any additional features. So disable, let's say disable unnecessary functions in inside these virtual machines. So any service that is running in a virtual machine will provide the potential for attack, and by disabling the system components which are not necessary to support the application or service that is running on the system, we reduce the potential of the attack to a great extent. So we have to understand that having additional or just keeping those things alive will not help much, apart from the fact that it is becoming more and more prone to much more attacks from within. So we have to understand that we definitely need to remove if any such things are um, or if any such features are still alive without any proper functionality. The sixth important point that we have to remember is we have to separate and isolate management networks. So separate and isolate the management networks. So talking about separating and isolating the management network, so we should have a service console which will be giving us the console or the display of whatever information it is having, and there should be a and there would be a VM kernel, so which will basically be taking care of all the functionalities. So information providing is a separate module, VM kernel is a separate module, communication would be a separate module. The next important point we have to remember is just one second, 6 7 we have to remember is we should plan for VM mobility. So plan for VM mobility. So what happens is we have to partition the trust zones here. So when we are talking about VM mobility, so there will the entire trust zone would be divided into several parts or several modules, and we will combine these trust zones using virtual network segmentation and virtual network management best practices. So after that, after these partitions are created, we'll combine the trust zones using portable VM protection with third party tools. So it is always better to handle in partitions than to handle in whole. So all of these partitions initially will have their own security features associated with it, and these security features will ultimately be combined to give you the full and final security. The eighth and the last point that we have to remember is secure deployment. So after everything is done, after we are sorted with the design and the partitions, we have to understand the process of secure deployment, and this is basically, it has certain guidelines associated with it, and these guidelines has to be strictly followed. Now deployment will come with a lot of physical aspect or manual configurations as well, where antivirus needs to be a very prominent component, patching, host based intrusion detection, then or prevention. So these are certain security measures which are implemented in your physical servers. So similar things would be deployed in your VM machine or virtual machines as well. And use of templates, and cloning. So templates forms a very core component of any type of deployment, and we should be very careful in deploying or in you making use of templates as a whole. Now, talking about the security recommendations. So, in case of security recommendations, basically these are the guidelines or the standard processes which are followed in order to maintain the best practices and implement the best practices. So, security recommendations for virtual machines. So if we are talking about security recommendations, let us take the example for how Microsoft Azure or Azure virtual machines have there. We'll take the case study as or case study of Azure to further elaborate on this topic, Azure VM. So, generally, these recommendations will help to fulfill the security obligations for shared responsibility, and it will also help us to improve overall security for the web application solutions. So, talking about Azure, it periodically analyzes the security state of the Azure resources to identify potential vulnerabilities, and it then recommends on how to address the vulnerabilities. So in general, so let us talk about the general category first. So in general, the first recommendation is when we build a custom virtual machine image, we have to apply the latest update. So talking about you apply latest updates while building custom virtual machine image, right? So before we create images, we have to install the latest updates for the operating system so that none of the patches are missed out or none of the packages are missed out, and for all applications that will be a part of the image. So this is the first recommendation which Azure has implemented. The next one is we have to keep the virtual machines updated. This is something or updated or current. So this is something which we have already been talking about a lot. So in Azure, we can make use of update management in Azure. In Azure Automation to manage the operating system updates for our Windows and Linux computers in Azure. So this is a type of management which will help to manage the VMs in keeping them updated in Azure. The next one is we have to back up the virtual machine. So this is very important from the perspective that it helps to protect our application data and has minimal operating cost related to any services. So in case of Azure backup will help in order to Azure backup is a service which will help to back up the virtual machines at minimal cost, and application errors can corrupt the data, and human errors can introduce bugs into the applications. So in that case, we have to back up our virtual machine so that we can roll back to the previous instant and make things work. So it generally this backup processes protects our virtual machines which run on different operating system. The fourth important point that we have to remember is that we have to use multiple virtual machines for greater resilience and availability. Use multiple virtual machines in order to introduce greater resilience and availability. So if our virtual machine runs applications that must be highly available and the downtime is almost negligible, we have to make use of multiple virtual machines or availability sets in case of Azure. So number 5 is we have to adopt a business continuity and disaster recovery strategy. So we call it as BCDR strategy, and this strategy adopted needs to be adopted. So BCDR is basically business continuity and disaster recovery strategy, and it allows to choose from different options uh, to support the business continuity, and moreover it also supports different replication and failover scenarios. In case of Azure, it is basically Azure site recovery, and this also helps in order to choose from different options which will be designed, which is designed to support the business continuity. Talking about the data security level, in data security level, first of all we have to encrypt the operating disks. Encrypt the operating disks. And without the necessary keys, the content of the encrypted disks are unreadable. So we have to provide necessary keys in order to make them readable, which is the first level of security associated with any type of data. Disk encryption protects the stored data from unauthorized access that would otherwise be possible if the disk were copied. So it is extremely important that we encrypt the operating system disks. So in case of Azure, we make use of, or they make use of, Azure disk encryption. The next important point is we also have to encrypt the data disk. So operating system disk is already encrypted. We also need to encrypt the data that we are actually storing in any of the disks. So without the necessary keys, again the content of these encrypted keys are unreadable. So it will store the data, it will protect the stored data from unauthorized access that would otherwise be possible if it is again copied. Number 3 is we have to limit the installed software. Installed software. So talking about limitation of the installed software, it is required to successfully apply to the solution, because this guideline will help to reduce the solution's attack surface. So the more number of softwares which are involved, if it is more, the attack surface will also be more. So we have to make sure that if the number is less, the attack surface will also be less. So the next recommendation that has been given is antivirus and anti-malware. Antivirus and anti-malware. So this we already know. So we are supposed to install our systems with firewall. In Azure, we can use anti-malware software from security vendors such as Microsoft, Symantec, Trend Micro, Kaspersky, etc. And this software helps to protect our virtual machines from malicious files, adware, and other threats. We can deploy Microsoft anti-malware based on the application workloads and is available for Windows machine only. So we use either basic secure by default or advanced custom configuration related to all of these company based all of these anti-malware softwares, but we have to remember that both these components are extremely essential. The fifth guideline is security store and store keys and secrets. So this needs to be stored, securely stored. So let's talk about this. So we have to keys and secrets or confidential matter should be stored securely. So we'll simplify the management of the secrets and keys by providing the application owners with a secure centrally managed option, and this management reduces the risk of accidental compromise or leak. So if we talk about Azure Key Vault, so this is a very common service which is available with Azure and can securely store your keys in hardware security modules or HSMS that are certified to FIPS 142 level 2. So these things are some of the services which companies dedicatedly keep or dedicatedly follow in order to securely store their keys and secrets. We also have a few more important points. The next one is decentralization of VM authentication. So authentication is very important in order to prevent any unauthorized access, and we can centralize the authentication of our Windows or Linux VMs by making use of Azure Active Directory authentication in case of Azure security solutions. Okay, then we have the next important point is we need to monitor our VM so that the performance issues with a VM can lead to service disruption and which will violate the security principle of availability. So we need to monitor the virtual machines at every instant of time. So the next one is limited access network or limited network access. So limited network access, we might be wondering why everything is happening online, then why we have to limit the network access. So network security groups will allow us to restrict the network access and control the number of exposed endpoints, because if we have more number of exposed endpoints, it is more prone to any other attack. So we have to remember these security measures, the recommendations and best practices in order to deploy a virtual machine successfully over cloud and make it reachable to the cloud service customers in order to execute their functionality or execute their processes in a secure manner. So that is all for today's session. We'll discuss more of this in our next session. Thank you.